It's been a couple of months since the release of the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and as someone that was coming from Android, I was really curious how I'm gonna be with it after a longer period of time. Not just the initial release, not just the initial first impressions, more after like a little bit longer, how I would like it. So in today's video, let's talk about how the iPhone 17 Pro Max is in 2026, like a long-term review, a couple of months later. And I'm gonna go over some main talking points that I have for it, because there is a lot to be said about it, especially coming from different phones, having access to testing out different phones, using them, and having different phones as a daily. Coming into the iOS system as someone that never had an iPhone, never really used an iPhone for a daily, other than having other people in their family having an iPhone or just using it for testing. So just like a really quick testing of the cameras and just the performance of it, but really how is it using it as a daily? And I have to be honest, I got used to it and I'm really liking it so far. And initially I did have some problems. I did see like the differences would be something that I would not like. For example, if there is something that I liked on my Xiaomi 14 Ultra that I used before as a daily, and then it wasn't here or it was different, I would not like it. Or I would just not be, happy with it. But after some time, after having, really using it as a daily, like 100% of the time only using this, makes you kind of like get used to like the little changes, and they become your habits, your muscle memory. And for many problems that I had originally with this iPhone 17 Pro Max, I found alternatives. For example, I loved the quick share for the Android side, and we have the AirDrop here, but if you're not using something with Apple devices, so you're using a Windows-based PC, you're sending something to someone else with Android, well, then AirDrop is pretty much useless to you. So essentially for me, I found alternatives like local send. Now I can actually share my files through my Windows, my iPhone. No matter where I have anything, I can just send it through that. So it's a really nice way to use. So if you're using iPhone and have like a Windows-based PC, or you have friends with Android, Local Share is a great app. And like I said, I was coming into this without any experience with other Apple products or the ecosystem. My watch is an Oppo watch, which actually works perfectly fine with it. Also, I use a Windows-based PC, so yeah, Local Send is the way I kind of connect it together. Other than that, I use many of the Google apps like YouTube, Google, everything in between, Google Chrome, and there I have it connected as my account, so it's once again the same thing pretty much. Other things that are different is like Face ID. Instead of having in-display fingerprint sensor like I had on the Xiaomi, it is a Face ID, so you just swipe it up. And at first I was a little bit, it wasn't the best in my opinion, but now that I'm used to it and it's just like a second nature, muscle memory kicks in and you just don't even think about it. You just swipe up and it's open. So it's those things that kind of become the muscle memory after some time. And also, I love the shortcuts, for example, the double tap for the light or triple tap for a screenshot. Also, if you double tap the power button, you open up the wallet and the NFC payments, which is super fast and convenient. But in Poland, we really often pay with the, the NFC wireless payments essentially. So it's really, really cool to have it under 2 taps. You have the Face ID that scans you, so it's really fast, reliable, really quick, just super convenient. I also have to say that the battery is pretty nice on this iPhone. I'm really liking how long it lasts. I have this feeling that with my Xiaomi 14 Ultra, which was by all means not a great phone for battery, it did run out of battery much quicker through the day, and I felt like I was constantly charging it. See, oh, it's slow, I would charge it. Don't get me wrong, it was super quick to charge, but it did feel like I would be a lot of times just thinking that, okay, I need to charge it, or if I'm heading out, I need to charge it for a little bit more. With this iPhone, I never really think about the battery. I just go about my day, and once I see, oh, it's red, it's 20 or less percent, that's when I put it into the charger and essentially really holds the battery nicely. So the updates to the battery here are definitely good, and it's just holding the battery really well. Same thing can be said with charging. While it's by no means anything as like Vivo, Xiaomi with like 100 watt, 120 watts or more, this charges pretty fast. For an iPhone, I feel like it charges pretty fast. So yes, it's not the same level of Xiaomi or Vivo. It is, on the other hand, a really fast charging iPhone. And to be honest, because the battery lasts so long and I don't really have to charge it that much, I just have it plugged into like by my desk for like a quick gaming session or something, and then I have it fully again, so it's not inconvenience. I thought it's gonna be more of a problem, but it's definitely not. So the battery and charging is definitely great on it. Also, if we're talking about like daily usage, the camera button on the side, at first I thought it's definitely like, what have they thought about? Like when I'm holding like this, it's too far from my fingers. Like, you know, a stretch to get to it. It should be somewhere here. But now that I've used the iPhone for a little bit more as a daily, I feel like even like the first week of using this, I found a really great usage to it that just makes this like a total game changer for me. Is, as you can see, my finger is about where the button is, so it's right here. So if I see something that I want to take a photo of, before I even have the chance to take a photo, when I'm taking it out of my pocket, for example, I already press it twice to open up the camera app. Thanks to this, I can essentially take it out and snap a photo right away, even with that finger on the camera button. So it's super quick and reliable. Once again, it's kind of like the muscle memory kicking in, which makes this just such a different experience than just using it for a week and testing it out and saying the button is not in the right spot. So these things come with age, I guess. The more you use it, the more you see those kind of things. So as a daily, I actually am loving the experience. You know, the apps are made specifically for this phone. You can feel that through different apps, how they work, how they perform. Here it's much more made for this device. So the apps are a little bit more, you know, made for it and just work a little bit better. There's some apps that are just, you know, overall made for the iPhone and not for Android. You know, whatever is on the Apple Store is a little bit more, you know, selected in a way, which is good. I mean, I still mostly use Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and those kind of apps. But if you want that, is here. As a daily, it's great. And like I said, with the muscle memory of different functions that we have here, it just becomes second nature. If I need a flashlight, double tap, and it becomes, you know, a flashlight. So there's a lot of things that I do with this that are now muscle memory. In terms of looks, once again, this iPhone is one that at first I wasn't really sure about. I waited for the new iPhone to get it to, you know, get as a daily, make content for it. But when the release came, where they had the showcase, I wasn't that happy with it. We knew from leaks how it's gonna look, but I thought it's gonna be better. And at first I was like, this is not it. You know, it doesn't look good. I wish we had the design we had before. But to be honest, after like couple of hours, couple of days after the initial showcase of it, before it even, you know, dropped, it was kind of growing on me. And by the time I actually got my hands on it, I was like, you know what, this actually looks pretty good. And now I'm so used to it that the older iPhone design just doesn't look the same to me, and it just seems like old design, where this just feels how it should be, like the Pro Max of iPhones. So now this is like the design that I feel like is the correct one. I know it's personal preference. This is 100% personal preference. So you might like it, you might not. I personally think that it's really cool. I mean, I got used to it, and I find it being a pretty cool looking, good feeling in hand phone. I mean, it definitely is on the heavier side, but it's like the nice, you know, premium feeling. I know some people might like lighter phones, but to me, this is like a bigger phone, a little bit of a brick kind of a phone, but it's a nice kind of feel to it. So it like feels premium. And I kind of got used to it, and I like the size and, you know, the weight and the look of it. But after all, you know, most of us always get a case for it, and you don't really look at the phone anyway, you look at the front of the screen pretty much. One thing that I really love about the design of the iPhone is also the wallpapers. You can have not only the numbers behind the person, but actually you can set it up to be like a 3D display. So as you can see, when I'm moving around, it looks like the background is moving behind TV. So thanks to this, you have this 3D display, which looks really nice, really something new. I know this is like a gimmick, but it still is something that feels so nice. And that's why I wanted to talk about the MagSafe and accessories in general, because this is one of the most exciting topics for me about the iPhone. Something I really wish that I never really got to experience before. All the cases, all the MagSafe accessories, and now I'm kind of like, you know, getting the benefits of that ecosystem. There's plenty of brands that make cases, accessories for them. It's kind of, you know, something that so many brands wait for a new iPhone to bring up those new creations they have. So I personally use this Banks case on my iPhone. Essentially, it is a MagSafe compatible case. It is kind of like a semi-transparent black kind of a color. You still have it open for the camera plateau, and overall like a black design with the MagSafe. But the reason I really like it is because it's also black on the front. Thanks to this, you kind of in real world situation without like the strong light that we have here, you kind of don't see the borders that much, and just makes the screen look that much more, you know, better. It just feels like the case is kind of like the border of the screen, so it just feels more natural, and it's like a nice, you know, rubbery feel, but also nice in hand. And there's like this metal over the plateau, like a little bit higher, so that you don't, you know, damage it. And if you like this case, I'm gonna link it down below. It's from Banks, and they did send it out to me on the premiere of the iPhone, on the launch window. But from all the cases that I have, this is the one that I've been stuck with the most. I had the clear case, I had like a different design, but this one is the one that I use on a daily basis. Speaking of accessories, you know, MagSafe just brings so much. So this Banks power bank, for example, and we're charging the phone. Like, how cool is that, that we can charge our phone magnetically? You can see how big this is, and this is like a 10,000 milliamp hour battery. You can get like a 5,000, which is much slimmer than this. This is a bigger one, but you can use it like a power bank for other devices too, because it has a USB-C. And also, like I said, I really like that it's like a handy way to, you know, charge your phone when on the go. You can just have it in your backpack and use this as like a secondary extra battery. So this is so cool. This is like the little things that I was waiting for, the accessories, the MagSafe. You can have so many different things. I mean, from cases to power banks, literally little tripods for you to use, and literally a travel tripod, because you can even, you know, put it on your backpack. You can even have macro lenses. And not only that, if you go for something like the Telesin Master Grip, you get a case that, you know, looks like this, but you can put a MagSafe grip, and now you have something like a kind of like a smartphone camera look, because you now have a grip that also has a battery inside, so it's charging through the MagSafe. You now have the camera buttons on the top, making this like a camera in a body of a phone that, you know, charges. And this is actually not all. You can get these kind of filters for it. You can just slide on the filter and variable ND filter, so you can actually change how much light there goes into the camera. Thanks to this, we pretty much made our iPhone into this like little camera. It looks pretty cool. I mean, this is still an iPhone and still has incredible video recording, but now this is like a portable camera, and because it's a MagSafe, you can even do it like this and have it vertical. This is just the beauty of the MagSafe and the accessories that you have for the iPhone. And even that is not all. We can add in a light and a mirror. So now we have a light and a mirror. Like, what can you add here? Like, this is just incredible how much customization and just abilities you have with the iPhone. That is one of the reasons I think iPhones are pretty cool, and that was like one of the things that I was waiting for when getting an iPhone. I was waiting for all the accessories, all the little gadgets that you can get to really make that such a cool thing. And I know you might say, why would you need this when you have a bigger camera? But if someone doesn't have it, they can use the great recording and photo capabilities of the iPhone and try out, you know, making a professional video with ND filters, having the best settings, so like the shutter speed and everything through the Blackmagic app, and have like a proper video setup in a body of a phone. So this is really cool for those that want to try out, see how they like filming, maybe, you know, see if it's something for them, and not having to get a camera that costs way more than just this setup. And that brings me to my favorite point of any smartphone video, the cameras on the back. And iPhones are known for great cameras, but how are they in reality? And especially someone coming from Xiaomi, which has incredible cameras, and from using something like a Sony a7 IV, so like a professional camera. How does this stack up? How good is the iPhone in real world usage? I'm gonna be honest, at first I was not 100% sold on the cameras of the iPhone 17 Pro Max. But I'm gonna put that into photo and video separately, so the photo itself were a little bit of a mixed bag for me. Yes, they are consistent, and yes, the photos of people look incredible. In my opinion, the best smartphone in terms of like the color, accuracy, the look of people just makes them look the best. And it doesn't make them like the fake, you know, AI editing. It makes them, you know, realistic, good looking, just natural. But overall, the photos for me tend to be a little bit too, you know, not that photography look. Something that I love about the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, 15 Ultra, the photos look a little bit more photographic, like they look a little bit more professional, like a professional camera would look. And this looks more like a smartphone photo, like a good but smartphone photo. And unfortunately, that was my first thing, that the Xiaomi was a little bit more like a camera and this was more like a smartphone. But the more I used it, the more I stopped comparing two side by side, and I started to using not the most compatible, but the most efficient, where you can actually change the photo styles after you take the photo. I found myself actually liking the photos from the iPhone, so maybe I get used to them too, but overall I'm satisfied. They're pretty good. Like overall they're consistent, and I really like that it is very consistent. But I feel like it's that there's a problem in hardware rather than software. The software is great, but the hardware seems to be a little bit behind. For example, I hate how far you have to get from the subject to have the lens that you want. If you're a little bit too close, it's gonna change to the wide angle lens. If you're a little bit too close again, it's gonna go to main instead of telephoto, because you cannot really get close to the subject. It's always like the minimal focus distance is a little bit far to my liking. I'm used to being able to get so much closer to the subject and have the better camera, for example, like the main camera instead of wide. And here is a different story. The close focusing distance is horrible in my opinion, especially compared to other smartphones. So this makes it a little bit, I wish it had that. So the hardware is definitely not there. It is more the software that is really making this that much better. But I have to give it to it, it does still look natural. It doesn't look artificial or over-processed compared to competition in my opinion. So overall the iPhone's photos are great. Maybe not the best. And you can shoot in JPEG and RAW. You can also edit the photo styles in post-production if you have it as most efficient. And if you're shooting in RAW, you can get the most out of the cameras that you have on the iPhone and edit them in post-production to your liking. If you're interested in presets for your RAW photos, check out the link down below for my presets, with which you can edit the photos in one click in Lightroom. Video on the other hand has to be the best video quality on a smartphone. And I feel like this is like the strongest point for me of the iPhone. While it records up to 4K 60 frames per second, where other phones might go for 8K, I feel like 8K is just not usable for me. I never see myself using 8K, but a good 4K 60 frames per second is the one I would go for. And this is the way I record with the iPhone. And in 4K 60 frames per second, it looks really great. I like that it is sharp. It is like a sharp 4K footage, but it's also that soft, kind of like a camera look to it. It doesn't look over sharpened by the software in post-processing. It just feels much more natural, much more like a real camera look that has a little bit softness to it, which I love about the iPhone, while it's still being super sharp, clear 4K footage. I do wish there was a Pro mode natively in the camera app, but there is none for photos and videos. Luckily, you can get the free Blackmagic app camera and have really good professional controls for filmmaking, and that is really nice. And on the Blackmagic app, you can actually record in Apple Log too, which is really nice if you want to color grade that in post-production, really take out as much as possible from the iPhone. The Apple Log 2 is a flat picture profile, but thanks to this you have more details in highlights and shadows, and you can do much more in post-production. Below in the description you can find free and paid LUTs that I made specifically for the Apple Log 2, so that you can color grade in just a couple of clicks. And these LUTs have been specifically made for the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max. Overall, camera-wise, it's a great phone. The iPhone 17 Pro Max is a very consistent phone, and that makes it a great phone for a daily smartphone. And I'm talking about all across the board, from cameras, battery, charging, usability, everything that you throw at it really feels like it's very consistent and makes it that much more of a nice device to use. And yes, there are some minor things that I would love to change or fix or make different, like the lenses, for example, the macro being on telephoto instead of the wide angle lens. It's still overall, as a daily smartphone, really great, and I feel like for many, this is more than enough. And overall, I'm super satisfied with it. With that being said, what are your thoughts about the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max? And if you have one, how is your experience with it so far? With that being said, that is it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video once again, and I'll see you next time.